Hi everyone, today we're going to be taking a little break from shapes. Don't worry, we'll get back to those in a little while. And we're going to be talking about measurement. So when we measure things, you know that we use a ruler, and on the ruler are little lines. Now those little lines represent what we call units. So units describe the size of objects, and we have different units that we use depending on how big the object is that we're measuring. So we would use different units if we wanted to measure how wide a coin is versus if we wanted to measure the length of a car. So today we are going to be looking at two common units that are used to measure smaller objects. And later on we're going to get into some of the bigger ones, but we're just going to start slow for now. So in Canada and most of the rest of the world, two common units that are used to measure smaller objects are centimeters and millimeters. Now, those are long words to write out every time. So if I wanted to say that something was 10 centimeters long, I don't have to write out the full word centimeters. So I use an abbreviation or a short form. And the short form for that is lowercase c and m put together. For millimeters, same thing. The short form of that is two lowercase m's next to each other. All right. So we're just going to quickly review how to line up your ruler in order to get the most accurate measure that you can. Now, my ruler may not necessarily be to scale. I've done my best to kind of line it up with the stuff that's on the page. But we'll see how things go. All right, so on this sheet here, what I've done is I've taken kind of the first or second one from your worksheet that you need to get done. Out everything on the page. And depending on the kind of ruler that you have, you're going to be lining your ruler up a little bit differently. The important thing to remember is that we always start at 0 on our ruler. Now, some rulers, the very end of the ruler is considered 0, and the first number that you see after a series of these lines will be a 1. Some rulers have a small or a little bit larger space before they have a 0. So you always want to make sure you want to line up the beginning of whatever it is you're measuring with that 0 line. So in my case, my ruler, I have a 0 line. So let's start. We're going to measure centimeters. So on my ruler, these long lines that have the numbers at the end of them mark centimeters. So the distance from this 0 to this 1 is 1 centimeter. So I'm going to take my ruler and I am going to line it up with this line here. Now I'm skipping a couple of them because the first two are kind of easy to do. We'll get to them in just a second. So when I put my ruler down, I can see my 0 was lined up at the beginning of this red line, and my red line ends right at the 2. So that means that this line is 2 centimeters long. Now, it is very important that you write down what units you're using, because if I just write the number down, 2 millimeters looks very different, we're going to see in a minute, from 2 centimeters. So on these worksheets, it's really easy just to kind of get lazy and just write the numbers down because the whole worksheet is centimeters or the whole worksheet is millimeters. But later on, when you're doing ones with mixed centimeters and millimeters, or if you're measuring things in real life, you want to know what kind of units you're working with. All right, on to millimeters. So I'm going to do the same thing with my ruler, except instead of looking at those long lines, I am going to be looking at the small little lines in between. Each of those small little lines represents a millimeter. Now, they make it a little bit easy for us because what's important to remember, and we will delve into this a little bit more later, is that 1 centimeter has 10 millimeters in it. And I'll show you why that's going to be helpful right away. So on our ruler, I've got my long lines with our numbers. We know that's 1 centimeter. And so in between these long lines, there are 10 millimeters. And this little halfway line, this kind of half line here, that's a little bit longer than my short lines, but shorter than my long lines, that represents 5 millimeters. So I can see on my ruler, once we get to the 1, that there are 10 millimeters here. And then all I have to do to get the rest is count the rest of the little short lines. So I have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 millimeters there. All right. So now we're going to go back up here. So these rulers kind of only gave us part of the line. They're not giving us everything. They're not starting at the beginning for us. So we are going to look at where our line ends. And this line ends at 91. So this one is 91 centimeters. This line here ends at 22. So that would be 220 millimeters. And there's still a few millimeters here. So there is 1, 2, 3. So this is 223 millimeters. All right. Now down here, these worksheets are asking you to draw a line that is the length that's indicated here. I think for this one, this isn't the first one on the sheet. It's like the second one because the first one was too long for my ruler. So I had to change that one. So just so you're aware. So mine's going to be a little bit different because I don't think I can write on my ruler here. So I'm going to line up with this end line here, this little short line, my 0, best as I can. You can do a better job of it because sometimes the computers don't let me line it up quite right. And I am going to draw a line, a little short line here at the 10 centimeter mark. And then using your ruler in real life, I don't have that option right now, but using your ruler in real life, you are going to draw a line that goes from here, from the little short line here, all the way to your 10 centimeter mark. So it's not letting me, it's kind of stuck onto my ruler thing here, so I can't draw it on the line here. And same goes for when we do the millimeters. You are going to line it up with the 0. This says 67 millimeters. So remember what I said, that there are 10 millimeters in each centimeter. So when we're measuring millimeters, we count by tens for each centimeter. So I can go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, that's my 60 mark there. And then I've got to count 7. So remember what I told you? This kind of halfway line is 5, and I just have to go 2 more lines over. And that would be where 67 millimeters is. And if I were doing this on an actual worksheet, then I would draw my line with my ruler nice and straight, going from here all the way to that little mark there. All right, so practice this. I'm sure that the grown-ups at home will be able to help you with this. But if you have any questions for me, or there's something that you're confused about, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll give you a call if I need to, and we will figure this out together. All right, that's it for now. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.